We will now spend some time on Schedule 5. Schedule 5 is, as you can see on your screen, the minimum wage table for the scheduled employees. It's very helpful to have this table close at hand. And maybe if you look at the way I've put the table in your manuals, you'll see that I've put the definitions with the categories. I would like to work through every single category of employee on this table so that you can have a very good understanding of who is covered by the rules of this agreement. We're going to look firstly at the general worker. You'll see the category code is category code 1. The grade is 1 as well. And if you've done your monthly returns, you'll know that this category would be reflected as a 0-1 on your return. I would like to read through the definition with you. A general worker means an employee who is engaged in one or more of the following duties: opening, closing, nailing up, sewing up, marking, tying, filling or emptying bales, vats, packing cases, boxes, tins, cartons, drums, bags or containers. Assisting in the loading or unloading of containers. Throwing over or removing tarpaulins or plastic coverings. Let's just pause there for a minute. I've often heard employers who complain about drivers who want extra money for having to throw over the tarpaulins. And in many ways, I think the driver is justified to ask for this because this specific function is contained under the general worker definition. Let's carry on. Sealing or opening messages, packages, letters or goods and delivering or transporting them on foot, by pedal, cycle or tricycle, or by hand-operated vehicle. Carrying, lifting, pulling, pushing, dragging, packing, unpacking, repacking, stacking, rolling up, shifting, loading, or unloading any goods, containers, packages or vehicles, wheelbarrows, trolleys, or other hand-operated vehicles, other than by using power-driven equipment. If you look at that little piece, I think you would also agree that it sounds very much like a warehouse employee. Pasting labels on goods or marking, branding, stamping or stenciling goods, or perforating labels, parceling, wrapping or tying goods, replacing towels, soap or toilet paper, cleaning goods or containers, setting up or taking apart ready-made cardboard or fiberboard boxes or similar containers by hand, shoveling or scattering stone, gravel, soil, clay, sand or other raw materials with a shovel, boring, scraping down or sandpapering by hand. I would like you to notice that a general worker is also the person who cleans the premises. So your cleaning lady would fall under this definition, and this implies that she has to be on your monthly return. Let's carry on in the second column. Guarding motor vehicles, goods or the loads on motor vehicles. Keep this in mind for when we get to the security officers. Operating a hand-operated crane, hoist, pump, duplicating machine, jack or winch. Assisting an artisan in ways other than by using the tools of his trade independently. An artisan would be someone like the diesel mechanic. Washing overalls, uniforms, protective clothing, packing material or blankets, working on a motor vehicle, trailer or semi-trailer, or accompanying it on trips. Repairing packing cases, crates or pallets by hand, cleaning premises, pallets, vehicles or machinery, preparing rations or making or serving tea or similar beverages for employees, or making or serving tea or other refreshments for the employer or his guests. So this would obviously be your tea lady. Using rubber or other stamps where selection or discretion is not needed, opening or shutting railway trucks or containers, applying paint or anti-rust agents to goods, trailers or semi-trailers by hand, removing, replacing, changing or pumping wheels, tyres or tubes of motor vehicles, front-end loaders, mobile hoists, trailers, semi-trailers, cycles, wheelbarrows, trolleys or other hand-driven vehicles, or repairing tubes, and any other manual labour not specifically defined herein. That's quite a mouthful, but it's important to read through this definition because I found a lot of transport companies do not add their tea lady or cleaning lady to the bargaining council return, and she is defined there specifically. Let's go to the next page. The general worker repair shop. You'll see this employee is still a grade 1, but it's a category 42. The wage rate is exactly the same. They both earn 1,170 Rand per week. And if you make a mistake, if you call your 01 employee a 42, it wouldn't be a huge mistake. But I wouldn't recommend that you do that. I think if we work through this course and you see that you've categorized your employees incorrectly, I would advise you to go and correct it as soon as possible. The general worker repair shop is an employee who assists an artisan, once again this would be your mechanic, by doing manual and physical tasks, which include carrying tools, cleaning parts, cleaning the work area, packing away tools and helping where needed. If you refer back to your category 1 employee, this one also assisted an artisan. So you can easily perhaps start an employee off by calling him a general worker, and then as his work maybe starts to focus more on assisting your diesel mechanic, you would just change his category code to a 42. But remember, if you change it to a 42, then in a certain sense you are disqualifying yourself from giving him any of the other tasks listed under the category 01 code. The next category code is a 3. This is a packer loader grade 1. Again, you'll see that this employee earns exactly the same and it's under the same grade, but the category code differs. And if you just look at the title, you might mistake this employee for someone who works in a warehouse. So let's read the definition quickly. A packer loader grade 1 means an employee who is responsible for packing or loading furniture into any container or into or out of a vehicle, or unloading or unpacking furniture. Here you can clearly see this is not a warehouse worker. This person is employed by a furniture removal company, and this is what he does, he or she. They are unloading vehicles that is transporting furniture. We then get to the security guard, and this is a category code 27. Remember, under category code 1, your general worker could guard motor vehicles, goods, or the loads on motor vehicles. But the security guard is an employee other than a security officer who is engaged in one or more of the following duties: guarding, protecting or patrolling premises, buildings, structures, or other fixed or movable property, whether or not he handles or controls dogs in the performance of any or all of the said duties. So it clearly states this is not a security officer. If you know the table well, you'll know that there are security officers listed there, but this this employee is still on the lowest grade. He still earns only 1,170 Rand per week, and he guards the premises and the buildings. You'll note that this person, it's not, the definition doesn't say he has to have dogs to help him guard the premises, but it doesn't make mention of firearms. We then move into the next grade. The next grade is grade 2, and the first employee is a category code 5. This is a motorcycle or a motor tricycle driver. I did put a definition there. You'll see that all the drivers, the definition doesn't define the employee, it defines the vehicle. So there was no definition for a motorcycle, although we all know what it is. It does, however, say a motor vehicle means any self-propelled vehicle used for conveying goods or containers, and includes a truck, tractor, a motorcycle, a motor tricycle, and a tractor, but does not include a mobile hoist. I think that's quite clear. The next category is a 6. This is your light motor vehicle driver. And a light motor vehicle is a motor vehicle, the gross vehicle mass or the gross combination mass of which does not exceed 3,500 kilograms. It's very important to note that your drivers need to be classified according to the vehicles that they drive. Even if your employee possesses a heavy goods motor vehicle license, if he only drives the little bakkie for your courier company, then you would classify him as a code 6. That's very important. Your next employee is a category code 2. This is a checker grade 1. A checker grade 1 means an employee who checks the assembling, packing, unpacking, weighing, stacking, loading, unloading, marking or addressing of goods or containers, and who checks, enters or records particulars of such goods or containers manually to a written or electronic statement. This sounds like a warehouse employee. If you look at this employee as well as the packer loader we dealt with just now, you'll see that it's a grade 1. So just keep in the back of your mind that there must be a grade 2 then as well. Our next employee is a category code 22. This is a loader operator grade 2. A loader operator grade 2 means an employee who operates a power-driven front-end loader with a lifting capacity not exceeding 6,000 kilograms, used in the loading, shifting or unloading of soil, sand, stones, gravel, or any other raw materials, goods or containers. This is not a forklift truck. This is one of those trucks that have a little scoop in front, and you can imagine the ones that pick up the gravel on the side of the road. But the catch here is that this employee only drives a motor vehicle with a lifting capacity up to 6,000 kilograms. So it's not a big vehicle. Then we've got a category code 24. This is your mobile hoist operator grade 2. This means an employee who is engaged in operating a power-driven mobile hoist or forklift truck. This is your forklift driver, with a lifting capacity not exceeding 6,000 kilograms, used in the loading, unloading, moving or stacking of goods or containers, but does not include an internal motor vehicle. So this is your forklift driver, and the forklift he or she drives cannot lift more than 6,000 kgs. Then we've got a code 46, a packer loader grade 2. If you remember, we also dealt with the packer loader grade 1, and this was your category 3 employee, the one who was dealing or handling furniture. you'll see that they've got exactly the same definition, but this employee earns a little bit more. He is in the next band of earnings. So this guy means an employee who is responsible for packing or loading furniture into any container, or into or out of a vehicle, or unloading or unpacking furniture, and here's the difference, and who supervises the activities of a general worker. Note that he doesn't supervise his fellow employees, he supervises the general worker. Your next category is a code 7. This is a medium motor vehicle driver, and it says in brackets, articulated. You'll see his friend is a category code 8, and this is a medium motor vehicle driver, rigid. They both drive the same type of vehicle. If you look at the gross combination mass, it says that the vehicle, the gross combination mass exceeds the 3,500 of your light motor vehicle, but it does not exceed 9,000. So what is the difference between the articulated and the rigid? And perhaps if you only work in the payroll office, you wouldn't know, but a rigid truck would be the one that doesn't have a trailer, or that can't bend, if I can put it like that. And the articulated one can. It has a trailer that can bend more easily. The next category is the 44. This is your Artisan Assistant. So if you think in terms of employment equity perhaps, this could be a career path for an employee who started out as a general worker, assisting the artisan, and then moved up to the general worker repair shop, where that's all that he does. And then he might have moved to the Artisan Assistant, the category 44, under the earning band 3. This is an employee who assists an artisan by working on basic tasks, such as removing covers, taking motors apart, and doing repairs on basic equipment under supervision, using limited tools and manual equipment, and also assisting in cleaning the work area and workshop. So here they've included the duties of your general worker repair shop as well. So this employee has been promoted, but he still has to help with the cleaning of the space. Your next category is a 19. This is a gantry crane operator grade 1. A gantry crane is one of those cranes that is sometimes mounted on top of a truck that loads or unloads the truck. It could also be a kind of crane that's mounted in a workshop or a factory, where the employee that operates it sits in a little cubicle and operates a truck that's not a truck, a crane that's further down on the factory floor. So this means an employee who is engaged in driving a gantry crane with a lifting capacity exceeding 6,000 kilograms, or in operating or controlling it from the floor of an establishment. What I find interesting about the gantry crane operator is you've got the grade 1 and the grade 2. The one operates the crane that can lift more than 6,000, and the other one less than 6,000 kilograms, but they both earn exactly the same amount of money. So you'll see the one we've just read is a category code 19, and the one that can operate the other lifting capacity crane is a code 20, and they both earn 1,630 Rand a week. Our next employee is the mobile hoist operator grade 1. Remember, we dealt with the grade 2 earlier, the one that earns a little bit less. This one also operates a forklift truck, but this truck can lift more than 6 tons. Then we get the checker grade 2. Again, this employee is in a higher earning grade, and if you read through the definition, you'll see he does exactly then exactly the same as the other checker grade, or the grade 1 checker, but this one supervises and checks the work of a general worker, as we've seen with the loader previously as well. Then we get the loader operator grade 1. This employee, this is the power-driven front-end loader, the vehicle that moves sand and gravel and so on. And this one earns more because his vehicle can lift more than 6 tons. We have dealt with the category code 20, gantry crane. Then we get to category code 26. This is your storeman, and then in brackets it says workshop. The workshop storeman is an employee who is engaged in receiving, recording, storing, unpacking and issuing spares for the repair and maintenance of vehicles. You'll see he has a friend. There's a storeman, and then in brackets it says warehouse. And we'll get to this employee a little bit later. He earns much more than this storeman. The next category is your team leader. This is a category code 15. And this is an employee who, under general supervision, is in charge of a group of general workers and who may keep records of the work they do and engage in the same work. This is important that you read this definition, because we would easily call any kind of supervisor a team leader, and this is not correct. According to this definition, this category code 15 employee, this team leader is only in charge of general workers. So please just make a note of that for yourself. You do get a team leader under the EBU employees, and we'll read through his definition later on. Then category code 50 is a vehicle guard. Now you have to remember that the general worker, as well as the security guard, had some guarding in their definition. So this is not the same. This vehicle guard means an employee who is engaged to provide a protective armed service to security officer 2 in securing an area, guarding of cash and valuables, securities and negotiable documents in transit. So firstly, this guard is armed. And secondly, he is engaged in cash in transit operations. So if you do not function in a cash in transit type of sector or company, then you wouldn't employ a vehicle guard. The next category is a category 10, and again you'll see 10 and 11 are both heavy motor vehicle drivers. The one is articulated and the other one is rigid. And this again is we're just moving up the scale now. This vehicle exceeds 9 tons, but it does not exceed 16 tons. Then also interesting, you get category code 12 and 13, which is an even heavier vehicle. It's more than 16,000 kilograms, but not more than 25,000 kilograms. But this employee earns exactly the same as the heavy motor vehicle driver. Then a category code 18 is a dispatch clerk. Previously, before we had the extended bargaining unit employees, this was the closest employee we had as administrative staff. The dispatch clerk means an employee who is responsible for the receipt, the packing or dispatch of goods or containers from a store, a warehouse or storage place. He may supervise and check the work of a checker, grade 1 or 2, or a general worker, and utilizes information and data stored manually or electronically on a computer system. So here for the first time we have a supervising type of employee who doesn't only supervise general workers. The next category is a code 14. This is your ultra heavy motor vehicle driver. This is a grade 5, so this is one of the top earners. But if you've read through the recent amendments of the agreement, you'll see that there is a general concern between the parties that this is not high enough. It's quite vague to say that the vehicle combination mass exceeds 25,000 kilograms, because you get much bigger and heavier vehicles than that. And the parties are in the process of negotiating categories for those employees who drive the bigger trucks. But this one is just an employee who drives a vehicle of which the gross vehicle mass is more than 25,000 kilograms. We then get to the category code 45. This is a semi-skilled artisan, and unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, this is the highest your career path general worker could go. This is an employee who is still under the supervision of an artisan. An artisan is not contained under the scheduled employees. That's why I'm saying the career path stops there. This person works independently on jobs, but is not held fully responsible for final checking, and who does more complex repairs, uses fault-finding equipment, chooses alternative ways of carrying out tasks, operates electrical and mechanical equipment, and who may be required to do jobs such as basic welding, and who is not fully qualified as an artisan, but could over a period of time do a trade test and qualify as such. So in many ways, I would say if your semi-skilled artisan does his trade tests and gets his papers, it might be more beneficial to that employee to keep him on the council system, because the increases are negotiated and the benefits are quite good. But obviously the definition stops there. If you employ a skilled artisan with papers, then he doesn't have to fall under this table. We then get to the storeman for a warehouse. This employee is also a very high earner. He is in charge of stocks, of incoming goods or containers, and who is responsible for receiving, recording, storing, packing or unpacking goods or containers in a store or a warehouse or a storage place. And he's also responsible for delivering goods or containers from a store, warehouse or storage place for dispatch. Again, this is an employee who is on that border of being part of the extended bargaining unit employees as well. Then your category 51 is a custodian. If you read through it, you'll see this is a driver of a vehicle, but he's also a guard, and he is working in the cash in transit sector. He handles cash and valuables and securities, and he may also carry a firearm. And then the last three categories are 41, 40 and 39. These are your security officers, and you'll see they are also employed in the cash and transit sector. They have varying levels of responsibility and authority, and this is why they are defined separately. But if you are not a company that transports valuables or cash, this is not someone that you would be employing.